Alrighty, good morning everybody. It's Tuesday, June 14th, 2022. Let's go ahead and get started here. Gonna jump up to the higher time frame so we can do a larger sweep of everything. I'm in the process of updating our major and minor eye levels on the new contract. So these numbers are going to probably shift a little bit. Some of them will probably stay exactly the same. What I noticed when I went back last night to just kind of go back into the historical data and look at how all the eye levels I already have on the chart line up. And it's almost imperceivable when you go up to a 60-minute chart, a 4-hour chart, a daily chart. You really can't notice much of a difference because the difference between the two contracts is literally like 2 points. So a lot of these levels will probably end up staying exactly the same. I have shifted a few of them by a point or two. I've also changed some of the minor levels to major levels, and I've also, removed a few here or there. And I'm in the process of refining that. So it's going to take a few days as we move into the new contract. And I'm thinking by next week I'll have a nice concrete list of every single official level. But right now everything looks really, really good. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. We have not done a big swath down, so let's take a look. I mean, yearly, as you can see, we almost have a bearish engulfing bar on our yearly. So if price continues to sell off, and let's be honest here, it looks like we're probably going to be selling off much deeper, right? So if that happens, we will have a bearish engulfing yearly bar. Not very good, right? Not very good. On our 3 month or quarterly chart here, this new candle will close at the end of August, going into September when we open the new contract there. Um, right now, obviously looking bearish. What I'm noticing is that potential bullish signal that I talked about off the low of last quarter's candle that basically just closed, right? So this was for last quarter. It closed and looked like there was potential bullish divergence, but as things continue to evolve here, we have to get rid of that. This isn't an official signal because we have to wait for this new bar to form and close. And as this new bar forms and closes, we still have, and why is it not selecting? We still have a potential bullish divergence. Again, you guys know what I've said in the past when you have this type of setup here. We could still sell off all the way down to this major low back here at 2105. And if the RVI is lower than it was back here, we will have an argument. So not necessarily pinpointing anything here, just an observation for now. So just want to point that out up here on the quarterly. We are also just testing into that 38% retracement of this leg. Let me just make sure this is redrawn 2105, 480350. Perfect. So that's where we find ourselves here in this larger perspective. On the monthly, we also have that potential bullish divergence agreement. Um, this will no longer be valid if we come down and end up breaking through this low at 3176. So right around that 61.8 retracement level. But again, it's just something I'm watching, something waiting for this to all kind of come together on all the time frames. And then down here on our weekly, we did have, again, similar to like the other higher time frame charts, we did get a decent bullish divergence off of this low when the bulls attempted to break out to the upside. But then, of course, back at the beginning of June, there, end of May, we then sold off, and now we're here. We find ourselves even lower. So right now, we do have similar arguments where, hey, there's an argument for a bullish divergence. Are we gonna just buy the market right now just because the higher time frames are starting to show potential setups? No. Everything looks very, very heavy. We'll continue to watch these things, and when they all really come into alignment, maybe we'll see something happen here. Right now, what I see is with the daily and with the weekly showing potential bullish divergence down here, maybe we're going to get something going on. and this was from this low back here. We've got a daily bullish divergence from yesterday's low. Again, the weekly, technically, if it closed the way it looks right now, and we started to bounce out with a new candle next week, we would have the signal there as well. So I'm just watching all this stuff. So let's go down into our weekly here, or our daily, I'm sorry, and take a look. We came up and tagged 50% of yesterday, and then went ahead and pulled back here in the overnight session. And outside of that, really nothing else too important to mention here. Might want to throw a fib up for this whole push down. We've got the high up here at 42.0475, down to the low we made of yesterday at 37.35 quarter. And I'll just make sure that's 35 quarter there, 0475. And so there's our general retracement back up. If the bulls do start to rip higher, we've got those three important retracement levels to watch. And on top of that, this major swing low back here at 38.7450. So let me throw that across, get it on the chart here, 74.50. And we'll make this our swing low. All charts. Cool. So that is kind of the bigger perspective there. And then remember, if we come all the way back up, we've got these lows here right around 40.74. Let's call it 40.75 even, or 74 even. So these are just, let's see, 74. We'll just call it 74. And there you have it for some subdivisions of the move back up. Somewhere right around that 38.73, 74. Then we have the 38 retracement, the 50, the 61. And then right into, remember that previous weekly support we were watching on the June contract, it was up at 40.7150, I believe. So that little structure zone up there. All right. Let's jump down. I don't think there's much to say here on the 4 hour. Let's go down into our 60-minute chart. So what I'm seeing here, every time frame, the 4 hour, the daily, the weekly, and then all the high time frames, and down on our 60-minute as well, we do have an argument for the bulls off of yesterday's low. The question is going to be, we're going to get any type of follow through down there for a breakout to the upside. And what we can see right now is there's an attempt by the bulls to push in the Globex session, and then they came up right about 38.10 here and failed. And now we've got this little small leg that we're going to zoom in on our 10-minute chart when we get into the intraday levels here. So let's look at things. I put a new minor level here at 37.35. It's not there only because it was the low of yesterday. It's there based on going all the way back to years ago when the market was trading down here. This also is a really good support and resistance level here. So it's not too surprising that we came down and bounced from there yesterday. So let's look at this morning here. I want to talk about the levels going on inside of the leg that we made from yesterday's low to the overnight high, and we'll get into that on the 10-minute chart. But for right now, just zooming out and looking at everything, this is what we're dealing with here. If the market ends up ripping higher, and we do have a whole bunch of stuff on the backs of the bulls here, again, from the higher time frames, which are going to probably continue to develop as the market sells off, but we do have the daily, the 4 hour, the hourly, all showing a bullish signal from here. So if the bulls continue to carry through, and this was not it, like this was it, 37.35 to 38.05, if that's not it for the bulls, and they have enough strength to go ahead and rip through this 38.22 major level and 38.12 minor level, then the levels we're going to be pushing up into include 38.53, Here's that swing at 38.75, which is also a minor level that I believe I updated and added to the chart here. Might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that was a new one. And then from there, we're going to be filling that gap. Remember, we gapped down coming into the beginning of the week here. So if we get through 75, more than likely we'll be coming up to fill that gap and come into. And this level here, it's not marked as any type of major or minor level, but we're going to go ahead and put this on the chart as a potential trouble spot for the bulls. If they start ripping higher, it wouldn't be surprising to see them have trouble off of those lows there right around 3,900, and it's 39, 3901, give or take. So let's just call it 3,900 even, understanding that there's a few ticks on either side of it, and just be aware of that. So I'll have it as a swing high, swing low if they get up there. And then from there, you can see we've got 39.1450 here, which lines up with a lot of support back from a few weeks ago there. And then it goes right up into this little pocket, I guess. Remember, we had 39.40, 39.45, 39.50. For the most part, those are still valid. If you wanted to be selective about it, you might want to just hang your hat on the top end or the bottom end, depending on where we are in the chart. And then from there, we're right up to 38.53, another, or 39.83, another pretty important support and resistance level there. And then it's up to 39.97. This swing here around 4,006. Let me get the number. Yeah, right around 4,000. We're going to call it 4,007. And then it's 40.23, 40.42. Those are from our previous contract. And then right up to that swing. So remember, if we zoom out, the lows that we were having trouble breaking back a week or two ago, that major low there, right around 40.74 to our major eye level at 40.80 here, would be another potential trouble spot. So that's everything up above us. Okay, and then if the bears end up smacking them down, we'll see if we break through the low of yesterday, which was, I believe, 37.35 quarter. We've got a major level here. I updated this to 36.81, and again, it's a little pocket, 81 to 85 there. We've got 36.63, 36.1250 as a major level, and then we're down to 35.85 and 35.23 quarter. These levels down here, like I said, I'm still working on updating them. They might shift by a point or two, but for the most part, they're pointing to the right areas of support and resistance. So that's what we're dealing with below us, and then up above us, we already mentioned all those levels. Let's go ahead and jump down to the 10-minute chart now and look at what we're dealing with in between the low of yesterday and the high of the overnight session. So we'll zoom in here, and you can see within the previous daily range here. Notice our orange power level was tagged here to the tick in the pre-market session. In fact, after the PPI news came out, I guess there must have been a rally right to the orange power level, and we got our rejection. So right now, having trouble getting through that level. And then from there, we have 50% of yesterday, which happens to be almost exactly the high of the overnight session, which I mentioned when we looked back on the daily chart, that it looked like we came up, tagged the 50, and pulled back. So that is going to be one of the important levels for the bulls to break this morning. Outside of that, it looks like there's really not much else to mention on that intraday range there. We've got the low of yesterday up to our overnight high, which was 0750. Let me throw that on there. And you can see right around the 61.8 is where we're finding that support. It's also the close of yesterday there that we came into and basically held on two tests here in the overnight session before we came up to get rejection right off the orange power level. So this is where we find ourselves stuck in the middle of all that junk right now. Um, for the most part, as you can see, oh look, our minor level is basically the 38. Our major level is basically the 50. And to be honest with you, the 61 did not look like it was very important here this morning. So I'm going to get rid of the fib since I don't think it's necessary. And we have everything here within this overnight range. So um, I think that basically fills everything out coming into the open here. Um, don't really think there's much to add to the picture. Remember that with so many bullish signals, here's another one from the 10-minute, from the previous daily low. A breakout to the upside wouldn't be surprising. It's just within the context of a very, very heavy market. And I've been saying this now for probably 2 months now, that every time there is an attempt by the bulls to break out, even when it starts to look really convincing, it ends up getting swatted right back down. And you can just look back and see how many times the bulls try to break out and then it just trends back lower. Every once in a while, you get a really nice rally here, like back at the end of May. We came down right into, I believe the minor level was 38.13, but right into our major area here, and then ripped it higher by about, what, 200 points. And then that was it. We came right into 4,200, which I believe I'm going to have to update to 4,202 or 4,203 here, and then it failed. So I wouldn't be too aggressive on the bullish side, but again, if there's a setup, if there's some bullish momentum, why not? We'll jump in and see how far it'll push. But at the end of the day here, we were still expecting any type of breakout to be squashed for a push lower. All right, guys, so that's what we have coming into the open here.